Taking a look at XRP on the weekly chart, we can see obviously the structures are matching up very, very well. And what I really wanted to tell you today was the conversation I had with somebody who totally hates XRP. And I'm going to give you his reasons why he doesn't like the situation right now. And you guys know where I stand on XRP. I've always been very bullish, long-term, macro. So let's jump into everything. But first, let's run down this chart a little bit. I mean, just looking at it, right? I mean, you can see, from this point here down to the crash, the base, the yellow liquidity grab. Same thing here, the base, the liquidity grab. We have the retracement, right? We have the retracement. We come down into reaccumulation. We go sideways a little bit, building a base. We go sideways a little bit, building a base. And then you can see we marked up here a little bit, built our second base, then had our liquidity grab and blasted off. Same thing here. We had our base. We marked up. We had our second base. We had our liquidity grab here. It's a little bit smaller. Obviously, it's on log scale, but you can see it pretty clearly there. So obviously, we were building a huge base, and we blasted off. So this one looks to be about twice as big as this one, right? So if we go to the 2-month chart here, look at this. If we go, let's actually go to, let's go to the 2-month. It'll be a little bit easier. So if I put a trend line, or how many bars, I'm sorry, this should be 20 bars from here to there. Yeah, 20 bars. Okay, so what would we be looking for this structure? Well, if it's twice as big, I want to see 40 bars. Well, let's see if we have 40 bars. I'm going to come right to there. Boom. We got 39 bars. So in one more month, this thing is going to be at 40 bars, right? So this is how long it took from the bottom, or from the top down to the breakout. Took 20 bars. So I'm thinking, well, if that's 20 bars, I'm wondering what's going to happen. This is the 2-month, so September and October will fill in that 40 bar month, and then November, December will fill in that 41 bar 2-month. Okay, so it should be interesting, right? So again, the targets here, when we break out, I'm looking at, first of all, we got to get back above $1.30. I mean, that's really that pivotal moment. Like, usually when XRP is above $1.30, things seem to be a lot more smooth for XRP's concern, but it's only been there for not that long, right? So if you calculate, so let me put $1, how long XRP, right? So let me go to about $1, right about there. Okay, and then I'll remove that for a minute. You can see XRP has not really been above $1 that long. I mean, a little bit over here and a little bit over here. I mean, it's really hasn't been above $1 for a lot of its life. I mean, the fact that it even stayed up here with a lawsuit is actually quite an achievement in itself. But just so you understand, $1 is very forbidden price territory for XRP. So if I move that up to about $1.30, now we're starting to get above these peaks here, and it's only been maybe about a month there, and then probably about like a month and a half, maybe 2 months it's ever been over the course of how long? About a little more than 11 years. right? So a couple months out of 11 years, I mean, that's a lot. So, there's a lot of resistance there, and it's basically been doing the same thing what it's doing here. Every wave has a job to do, right? Obviously, that first wave is the expansion phase. Obviously, people taking profits, the bear market, the retracement, people capitalizing on oversold conditions, and then coming down into reaccumulation, hodlers and investors accumulating, um, you know, in the reaccumulation structure. So all of these phases have been hit, and it's only, in my opinion, a matter of time. We have the lawsuit, check. We have XRP is not a security, check. We have almost 40 bars, check, right? We have really the last thing I was looking for was this liquidity grab here. And that's exactly what happened here just recently. So if I take, a bars pattern from here to here, and I just move it over a little bit, and you've seen this before, right? But I'm just showing you again. From this retracement peak to here, I mean, this is exactly where we should be. So, I mean, think about how symmetrical that is. I mean, you're coming up on the exact time that this was times 2, right? So this was 20 bars. This is 40 bars on the 2-month chart. So from a time perspective, everything's checking out. From a structure perspective, everything's checking out. And then from a fractal perspective, which is basically a mixture of time and structure, right? You can see we're right where we should be before this thing really starts to accelerate. So will it accelerate? That's the big question, right? Maybe it will, maybe it won't. We'll see. Okay, so kind of just wanted to share that a little bit. And real quick on the target, before I forget here, I'm still looking at getting back above that $1.30 area. Okay, and then once we clear $1.30, $1.70, I think it's going to be very easy to get above between $2 and $3. But who's here for that, right? We're all here for all-time highs. Obviously, for me, that first area would be that $5 to $6 price, and between anything higher than that, between $8 and $13. So if I flip this to log scale, and I remember someone asking, when is it appropriate to use log scale fibs or regular fibs? And I guess it just kind of depends on, how the chart reacted before. So for example, if I take a Fibonacci retracement from here and I go all the way down, it hit the 2.272 on log scale, right? If I flip that back to linear scale, it blew right past all of them. So once it goes beyond the 4.236 on linear, that's when you want to flip it to log, because that's where it makes sense, right? So if we hit the 2.272, that would bring XRP at $235 if it was going to hit the 2.272. Now, I don't think that's possible unless something massive happens that we can't even comprehend. But a really good log scale target to have would be the 1618, and that comes in at $26, $27. So I would say about $25 to $27 on the high end, and $5 to $8, or I'd say $5 to $6 on the low end, and then $8 to $10 in the average medium range. So so there we go. So as far as the conversation I had, basically he's saying that, you know, Ripple and XRP suck. And I'm like, well, why? Why do you say that? It's very fast. It's good. Well, he says the technology is good. He says Ripple, the company, is great. And I said, well, okay, then what's the problem? He says the price action sucks. I go, yeah, but look what XRP's gone through. He goes, yeah, but it's still it should be significantly higher than it is. And I say, well, maybe that's manipulation, people trying to keep prices low so that they can continue to stack. And he said, yeah, that might be true, but here's my issue with Ripple and XRP. So XRP has been, number one, his number one reason is XRP did not get to participate in the bull cycle, right? So I'm going to take everything off the screen. Okay, so the bull cycle back over here, we did not break above the all-time high in this bull cycle. And obviously, right, it had to do with the SEC suing Ripple, right, exchanges delisting it. But despite all that, it held the top 10, so that's pretty remarkable. And not only that, it's doing exactly what it's doing here. So from a technical perspective, he and I both agree that, yeah, it does look really good from a structure perspective, as after I'm showing him this. The issue is, though, that he was telling me is he basically was expecting more out of the judgment, and also when XRP was declared not a security, happened right here. The price went all the way up, but then it came all the way back down and retraced below that. So he was pretty upset about that. Didn't understand why. And basically I said, that's true. That sucks, right? But during this time, right, we're in the dead of summer, which is not a good month, or not a good time anyway, historically, for crypto. And then also Bitcoin at that time, let's see, it was sort of in this wave 2 correction. You can see here, right? Here was Bitcoin, and it had a little bit of a pump, but then you can see Bitcoin was just sort of stalling out, and it was creating this A, B, C, right? So a lot of the liquidity was getting sucked down to the short side, which was too overwhelming for even a Ripple victory. And even so, well, it's still a big victory, and it still pumped up a lot. Traders take advantage of it, right? You buy it, you sell it, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news. It's typically what happens. And he understands all that. But after that, right, it should have gained a little bit more speed. So the issue that he has here is that, let me see if I can set it a little bit. Yeah, right about there. So the issue is, okay, well, let's, when we came down here, Bitcoin started ripping to the upside in that powerful third wave. So during this time, XRP was not a security. So if that's the case, then how come XRP did not go with it, right? It only went up a little bit, it retraced, and then it came all the way back down, right? And it basically created this B wave here as Bitcoin was in this third wave. And now Bitcoin's flagging out for a fourth wave. And here you have XRP coming down, breaking new lows below where they even announced it before XRP was not a security, right? So, and I agree. I mean, that's a little bit of a problem. I mean, that's a big problem. Why hasn't XRP been able to keep up, right? Why couldn't XRP, as Bitcoin was going into this third wave here? So let me just let me hide this. Okay, so as Bitcoin, right here was the loss. XRP is not a security right here. So this is on Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin dumped. That's understandable that XRP came back and retraced. But then once Bitcoin ripped to the upside like a madman from, I think that was about less than 30K, like in the 20s, all the way up to 70 plus K. And then when you turn XRP on, XRP just went down as Bitcoin's going up. So that's the disconnect. Why is that happening? XRP is not a security. And then the argument can say, well, yeah, but because XRP is still in a lawsuit. Okay, that's fair enough. XRP is still in a lawsuit. They're still fighting, But you just recently had, the judgment come out. And now the lawsuit is over with, right? They only had to pay 6% of what they were asked, right? Which means XRP should be out in the clear, right? But now we have another problem. Well, Bitcoin's not pumping anymore. See, it should have happened down here, right? The lawsuit should have been over here, which would have allowed XRP to participate in this rally. But it's like, well, why does it even need that, right? You have other coins who have nothing really going on for them, pumping up massively. So how come XRP, right? Well, one of the reasons too is it's a bigger market cap. It's harder to move the money, harder to move the price. Also, there's a lot of, I would imagine, manipulation. But then also too, you have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have this three-way pullback that just took a long time, right? Since this went up so high, I think it had to account for it to come back down, right? So basically the proportion of this A wave and the proportion of the B wave kind of had to drag out that C leg a little bit wider. So, and it's still kind of a low ball excuse, but but another thing is too, like XRP has not broken out of its all-time high. So okay, let me just say this. What really bothers, I won't say his name, but what really bothers this guy I was talking to is that, what the hell has Ripple been doing for the last 6.5 years, right? So let me put it back on the screen here. So the last time, we had an all-time high was 6.5 years ago, right? So you fast forward today, that's 481 times 5 days, right? I mean, that's 6.5 years or so. Okay. So Ripple has an event called Swell, and they say, yeah, we're doing really good business, we're growing year over year, doubling year over year, our percentage growth is rapidly growing, right? We're doing so good, we're doing this bank and we're talking to these people, and they're doing all of these wonderful things, and it's like, okay, you're doing all these things, well then why the hell is the XRP price still down in the dumps? And then you can say, oh, the lawsuit. Well, now there's no excuse. The lawsuit is over with, okay? But to all fairness, it just ended, so you got to give it a little bit of time, right? But still, why the hell has it been kind of doing nothing? I mean, the price we're at now is the same price we were at back in February of 2018, right? So that's 6 years ago. And it's at the same, XRP is at the same price it was 6 years ago. So if Ripple is doing all of these wonderful things, why the hell in the last 6 years, I mean, that's a long time. I mean, think about how many business transactions Ripple has done in just 1 year, let alone 6 years. Think about all the partnerships they've had. Think about everything they've done, right? And it's still the same price as it was 6.5 years ago. And I go, yeah, but when you look at Amazon, for example, so here's Amazon right here, And basically this was the all-time high back in, 2000, early 2000s. And it didn't break above the all-time high until 10 years later. And it's one of the best companies in the world. The biggest company in the world. One of them, right? Retail. So, it came up, it had a mega bull run. And so what I'm about to say is sort of going to make sense, I hope. So during the dot-com bubble, people didn't give a crap what it was. They were buying stuff, right? They buy. They were just buying the hell out of it, okay? So that meant that it was a bubble, right? So then it bubble popped and we had a massive crash. So anytime you have a massive crash, it's going to take a lot to recover that. First of all, the issue here was that this thing should have never went this high, right? So here's the starting point, and then here's the bottom. So it went all the way up and then it came down. But instead of that, if it would have just took its time and pulled back and then came up, it could have just broken out a lot sooner, right? So the fact that it made this huge bubble and the bubble popped, right? You take this whole wave, like I always say, cut it in half. Look at that. That's exactly where it went. Okay, so we had a rise, we had a crash, we came up into a retracement. And the reason I'm comparing it to Amazon is because Ripple compares itself to Amazon all the time. All the time. Amazon is to books as Ripple is to payments. Amazon started off doing books. Ripple started off doing payments. Amazon grew to other things. That's what Ripple wants to eventually do. Eventually, Ripple wants to become a central bank. They want to become their own bank and, continue to conduct their business with, many different financial services. They're right now testing their stablecoin as we speak, right? Okay, so, we have a retracement, right? And then we come down into reaccumulation. It was a shallow drawdown, but basically we kind of went sideways in here for a little bit. We broke out, we came back in, right? It was a little bit of fake out, but basically here's your pump, there's your liquidity grab, and then bam, we blasted off, right? And that thing took 10 years. And now look at Amazon today, go up, up, up. Now it's way the hell up here, and it hasn't had anything massive like that in a long time. So, is this a retracement here? Right? Here's the top, and here's a retracement, right? And maybe we have to come back down into reaccumulation, go sideways again, do some of this before we break out. I mean, yeah, it's possible. But essentially, I was comparing XRP to Amazon. And so that's what happened to Amazon, right? So, and, when I say that, he goes, yeah, that's true. I mean, I can totally see that. But let me go back to XRP. I'm giving the XRP haters a fair shake here, okay? I'm giving them, I'm expressing some of their points here. So here we, comparing it again to Amazon, here we have, right, the all-time high. And basically, the problem is, here's the big problem. Here's the grand finale right here. The reason why XRP sucks, has been sucking for a long time, is because of how incredible this rally was. This is it here. This is the answer to everybody's question, right? Why does XRP 50 cents? Why is XRP only 60 cents? Why is it not doing anything? Why is XRP a shit coin? Why is it, crap? XRP is a, banker coin, whatever. All the hating of it, okay? So the number one reason why XRP has not been performing is because this rally, look how massive this is. Let me just show you, because it doesn't do it justice, right? So if I go all the way up, that is 105,000%. That is that is huge. That is like 1,000x right there. yeah, I think that, is it 10,000? No, 1,000x or 2,000? No, yeah, I think it's 1,000x, or is it 10,000x? I think it's 1,000x. But anyways, it's a lot. It's 105,000%. Okay, so that's a lot. Okay, so the problem is, here's the problem right here. That 105,000%. Think of that as the .com bubble. Okay, if you look at Ripple, so this started back in April of 2017. Okay, so if you go back to April 2017, and then let's say we fast forward up to June, right? And then we go all the way to the end of the year, right? Or the beginning of the following year. This rally right here was not warranted. If you look at what Ripple was doing, they basically didn't deserve that price, right? It was like pets.com. It was like some .com bubble, right? Now, basically all the work Ripple had done as far as their partnerships, their balance sheet, their business transactions, XRP itself, right? Basically, it did not deserve this 105,000% move. The reason why it happened so big was because it was a crypto mania in 2017, right? People were it was way too overvalued. This went all the way up to $3.30 in January of 2018. So 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago, right? But 6.5 years ago, it wasn't deserved. Ripple did not, or XRP did not deserve to have a $3.30 XRP. So why did it go that high? Again, 2017 was the biggest bull run in crypto history. It's what put crypto on the map, right? You had Bitcoin going all the way from like less than $1,000 all the way up to $20,000. You had Ethereum, Litecoin, XRP, right, and a few others, and then they went berserk, right? So when you go up 105,000, or we'll just say 100,000%, because maybe this wick wasn't totally there, right? And if I just do it from the base of it here up, now we're at like 63,000%. So that's a big difference, right? But still, even 63,000%, it wasn't warranted. Okay, so here's where I'm getting at. So since this rally was so exuberant and so big, basically Ripple wasn't doing any of the volume to warrant this move, right? So then what happened? We had the bear market and it crashed all the way down. But here's the weird part. Since XRP didn't have a big drawdown, it actually came from $3.30. It had a big drawdown all the way down to 12 cents. But if you look at this whole thing here, if I just put a line from here all the way to the top, right? And then I cut that line in half, it's about where it's supposed to be. But it still wasn't too big, right? It wasn't too big. Now, in percentage terms, it was very big, right? But it didn't come down and, for example, back test down, where it broke out of, right? So there's a lot of time that went by. So now we had a big crash, right? So since this move went up so high, a lot of people blame the lawsuit as to why we didn't go into a bull run starting here. Well, I think that has a lot to do with it, but also what has a lot to do with it is because XRP was still overvalued here and here, right? 55 cents. And you might think, oh, that's nothing, but let me show you this. This is the real chart you need to look at. Okay, so this is the market cap. So look how high XRP went up. XRP went up to $126 billion 6.5 years ago. And right now it's only 31 billion. That's his problem. It's like, why does, Ripple has done all this work in the last 6 years. Why the hell is it only 30 billion? And back then it was 126 billion. Because this move from 100. I mean, you can go even down here to, where was this at? Less than 38 million, right? So if I go to, 30 million all the way up, now look at that. That's 400,000%. That's a 4,000x move, guys. It did not deserve it. Ripple XRP did not deserve a 400,000% move. I mean, think about the stock market, right? And think about a company. And we'll call this company XYZ company. And they just had killer earnings. They're smashing it. They're beating all the competition. Great. And they go up 5, 10, 15%. Wow, that's a huge number. But imagine 400,000%. That's absurd. That's like out of the universe, okay? So since it went that incredibly high, and by the way, here's the cool part. Think about this. Think about Solana now. Okay, let's go to Solana for a sec. Okay, so here's the big problem with Solana. You see anything that I see? What has Solana been doing? It started out where? At about less than 10 million. Where did it go? All the way up to like $80 million. Up, 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 up. So and then they like to compare it. Well, Solana's doing this and Solana's doing that, but XRP's not doing anything. It's a dead coin. No, it's in a different part of the cycle. Solana barely is starting out, just like XRP did. XRP started like this and then it skyrocketed. And then what did it do? It crashed. And then what did it do? It retraced. And then what did it do? It came down. And then what did it do? It went sideways. And then it went sideways a little bit more. And now it's right here. So what do you think Solana's going to do? It's probably going to do maybe the same thing. And if it does the same thing, then that means the bull cycle is over and the alts are going to get punished big time. So we'll see, right? Trump said the stock market's going to get worse. If the stock market gets worse, that means crypto's going to get beat up even more, potentially, right? So, this is a huge rally here. And, if I take this whole thing and I cut it in half, that's way down here and we barely went down there. So I'm wondering if this is a B wave, A, B, and then we have to come down C, then go, right? So, let me ask you this. This huge rally here from less than $10 million all the way up to like $70 billion. Do you think that move was warranted based off what Solana has accomplished thus far? I don't know about that, right? Why do people invest in it? Because they're FOMOing. They want the price to continue higher. But here's the thing. Is it warranted? Does Solana deserve a $70 billion valuation? You ever watch Shark Tank? The guy comes in and sells his thing, right, whatever, his business, and they go, your business is not worth $5 million. It's only worth, $500,000. This is your sales. This is your customer acquisition cost. This is, how much you're in debt, whatever. They can determine the valuation. Now, when you look at Solana and you look at XRP, you kind of do the same thing, right? So that's kind of where I'm getting at here. And this is kind of my reasoning here, right? So when I go back to the market cap of XRP, here's the, as 6.5 years, Monica Long, she's the president. She said, you know what? I think I've never been more bullish. I think all of our work is going to pay off. There's no doubting that Ripple has done an incredible amount of work. I mean, they've done so much work through this time phase. But then you can ask yourself, well, then why didn't it blast off? Because look, it already went up so much. But then why is it taking so long to correct? I mean, yeah, it's a huge move, 300,000% from, what was that again? From the bottom here, roughly. 300,000+%. Why is it taking 6.5 years? Well, again, they had the lawsuit, they had the exchanges delisting. You can say, yeah, well, that's over. Well, yeah, that just ended recently. But then also what needs to happen? Bitcoin needs to go into expansion, right? And they say, well, if XRP has been doing all this work, or Ripple the company, calling up banks, partnerships, lots of different things. You have the World Bank talking about them. They're sitting down with the IMF. I mean, if you look at the Ripple board members, they got massive resumes. And if you look at those people and who they talk to, who their friends are, who they're connected with, I mean, it's some pretty top high level people, right? So you're insinuating that, XRP is very, very important, and it's going to be in a position of a very powerful position ultimately, right? So there's a few reasons why the price hasn't exploded, right? And again, everybody is thinking about, a $5-10 XRP, and we're sitting here at, 60 cents, and the lawsuit is over with, right? So for example, if this never happened, right, and let's say we went up like this, and let's say we got up to maybe 2 or 3 billion, and then we kind of pulled back, and that was our peak, maybe that would be warranted, maybe 2, 3, 4 billion dollars. And then we had a little bear market, we had a little retracement, we came down into reaccumulation, then we would be ready to rock and roll. Now we're climbing up pretty good, right? And then from here all the way up here, that would have been somewhat warranted because of all the work they have done through the bear market here, right? And then they kind of pull back, and then they kind of go sideways, and then they gear up for another move to the upside. Now, when you look at that chart, right, like a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5, that looks really bullish. But since XRP went so high, it's taking a lot more time to correct this absurd move to the upside that wasn't warranted based off what Ripple has done. So there you go. That's the reason, right? So, and I mean, it's a fair assessment, right? And again, look at Amazon. Look how long Amazon, that the dot-com bubble, people were just throwing money at it. And that's very unhealthy for an asset, right? If you own a business, like let's say you own like an electronics store or whatever, and electronics are, back in the early 2000s, like Best Buy, right? Or remember Circuit City, and they closed down, but Best Buy, right? So, and Best Buy, let's say it's a 2 billion valuation, and then like in a week, right, when they go live, their IPO, now it jumps up to a $10 billion valuation. But all their sales and their transactions, it doesn't make sense. There's no reason why it should have jumped that high, right? So, but people are speculators. That's the problem. Speculators ruin the market, in a sense, for honest investors, right? Because when you're investing in something, you're investing for the future of that price. When you're speculating, you're thinking, well, how high can it go, right? I'm just going to ride the wave, like a meme coin, like Dogecoin and Pepe and SHIB, right? They blasted off, not because there was any value warranted, but because it was a mania, it was a craze, right? And every coin like Solana right now is going through a craze. You cannot compare Solana to XRP because they're in two different time zones, right? That's like comparing a Chinese college student to a French chef. It's like it's two different things, right? They're two different time zones, two different, this basically where Solana is now is kind of where XRP was back then, right? Solana had the big run up, it had the dump, and then it came back to the top, right? But here's why I'm bullish on XRP, because XRP already did all the work. Look how much work XRP has done. It's been going sideways for 6.5 years, right? So a lot of people now it makes sense. A lot of people look at it extremely bearishly because it hasn't performed, right? It's been going sideways for so long, right? But then there's other people who look at XRP like myself that say, no, this is very bullish. Yeah, it's taking a long time, but it's taking a long time because this was so much of a big move. I mean, we started from way down here all the way up here. So now we're basically consolidating in here. And I believe when we break out, it's going to break out very, very strongly, right? So, but when that happens, this breakout is going to be warranted, right? Because Ripple had done all the work. This was not warrant. This shouldn't have ever happened. If this big move never happened, we could have seen a much different chart, right? So when you look at like EOS, for example, making new lows or some coins like that, right? They went up so incredibly high, but there wasn't a lot of on-chain activity, right? Not a lot of transaction volume, trading volume, whatever, right? But XRP has a ton of new wallets just in the last 30 days. The wallets have been going crazy just in the last several months. The transaction volume has been going crazy. The volume has been going crazy, right? The settlement is over with. They officially settled, right? You have all the components, all the components that is needed, right? I mean, you have the rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulate. I mean, everything you see here is basically pinpoint nailing what it basically did back then. So the reason why it's taking so long is because this move was just way too big. I mean, it started off, 0.0006, right? Or 5, or I mean, it's just fractions of a penny, and then it shoots up 300,000%. I mean, and there was no good reason for it. It didn't deserve that price, right? And you can say, well, what about Bitcoin? Bitcoin continues to move up, and that's Bitcoin is I want to say a whole different animal, really. It doesn't go up this fast, right? It has much more organic rallies, right? It takes its time, but it moves pretty fast, right? So all of this sideways noise is basically a distraction to push people out of the market, right? Because again, if you look at XRP right now, it's the same price it was way back over here, and it hasn't been doing anything. So what's the big conclusion here? Well, the big conclusion is I think we should just, obviously we need to give it more time, but I think once it's ready to go, I think it's going to be one of the big movers here. Especially, am I glad this move happened? Yes, because this big wave here really, is setting the stage, I think, for what's to come. So, when we go back to the 2-month chart here, you can see we're almost at 40 bars, right? So anyways, that's about it. That's all I kind of wanted to share there. And then, there's a few other things we talked about, like, well, okay, so if XRP has been getting beat up so much, right? XRP investors have just been gotten creamed on, right? So then why the heck is Ripple dumping every month their XRP, right? Like Trump came out and said, I'm not going to sell any of the 200,000 Bitcoin stockpile. We're going to keep that in reserve. We're not going to sell it. We're going to protect the price. Why? But meanwhile, Ripple, they have the audacity, this is what he said, they have the audacity to sell every month despite XRP holders already been getting beat up very badly because of the lawsuit, because of it not going into a bull cycle, because of all the sideways, basically nothingness. And then they continue to just dump and dump and dump every month. So it's like, if Ripple is doing all of this business, and Ripple is doing this, and Ripple's doing that, and they're making all these partnerships and businesses, then why do they need to sell XRP? If they're making so much money, and they say they're growing year over year over year, and they're doing this and they're doing that, right? Then why do they need to sell XRP? They should just be hodling XRP, right? XRP's, they always say, the XRP investors, they always say, too bad, right? Gary Gensler has destroyed the XRP community investor, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, yeah, they did, they hurt the XRP investor quite a bit, but if that's the case, then why are you adding salt to the wound. Why are you selling? You shouldn't be selling at all, right? And you know, they're selling because they have to pay for the lawsuit, right? It costs a lot of money in lawyer fees. I think they had to spend 125 million for the settlement, and then they spent, I think, another 100 or 150 million for legal fees, right? So they're in pretty deep there, and you know, so that could be a part of it. But you know, I think I think they should probably stop selling. They should slow down on the selling, right? I mean, you know, basically everything they've sold so far is kind of a good thing, because now that, you know, it makes it more decentralized, right? You know, we don't want Ripple holding a tremendous amount of XRP, but they do so because of their business model, right? So they have this all configured and worked out based off who uses XRP. By the way, the stable coin is being tested, like I just said, right? So basically, they're mapping everything out. So they kind of know what they have to sell, what they don't. But XRP is their bread and butter. So, in my opinion, you know, if XRP fails, then their whole company fails, right? Um, you know, who's going to buy their IPO if XRP just died, right? So they even said everything we do is for the benefit of XRP. Now, people can believe that or not. I wish they would have not sold as much. I agree with the person I was talking to. They, you know, they should not have. They shouldn't have sold any, right? Out of respect for the XRP investor who was hurt during this situation here. But anyway, that's all the fluff. But when I look at the chart and we look at all of these key points here and we match them up to what's going on now, everything is starting to make sense, right? So anyways, that's all I wanted to say. I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section if you want to add anything. You know, this was looking like a bullish hammer candle. It's kind of lost its shape a little bit. I mean, we are kind of dumping right now as far as price concerned. But yeah, it's still a very healthy looking candle here on the 2-month chart. So if we look at the 1 month, you know, we got a bullish hammer candle. We came down, we tested this. Okay, let's look at the weekly. The weekly candle is going to end today. And the weekly candle definitely lost its look. I really wanted it to close a little bit higher here, to have that hammer look. Now it just looks like a big doji. But the doji's in a good spot, because anytime you have a doji, you look to the candle next to it. And this is a red candle that went down, right? We crashed to the downside, and then we have the doji. That's a good sign. Versus if we went up and then had the doji, that would be a bad sign. That would mean we're probably would have to go back down, right? So, so anyway, let's jump into the small time frames and see if we can see anything here. So right off the bat, you know, we didn't get that fifth wave. I really wanted to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't get it, so we have one more chance. This could be 1, 2, 3, and this could be 4. We have an ABC. We have a 3-wave shape. This is looking pretty good here. It could go down a little bit more, but it's got that 3-wave shape, right? So if we start to get some bids in here and start to build a base, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we start to come back to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? That's what we want. We want a 5-wave move that breaks this top here. So we'll see if we get it. Now let's go to Bitcoin. Or actually, let me zoom in a little bit to, I mean, yeah, we're dumping pretty big right now on the 10-minute chart. And it did look like this was kind of like a bear flag. I was hoping this was an ABC. But it looks like A, B, C, or W. Could be W, X, Y, X, and Z. You know, a triple correction. We are flagging out, which is good. So we'll see what happens when we get to the bottom. I could put a trend line right here. You can see we're on that trend line right now. So let me do that one more time so we can see it. So if I put a trend line here and I connect it to here, you can see we're right about there. We're right on that trend line there. So yeah, you could argue it could be some kind of falling wedge potentially. So yeah, we'll see what happens in here. Let's go to Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin, again, I was hoping to see a fifth wave. Now all we got is a three-wave pullback. So this puts everything more at risk, right? I wanted to see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? But we got an ABC, and now we have this three-wave pullback, right? So it looks like, you know, we got a three-wave shape, so that's good. A, B, and then maybe C. It looks like, you know, a pretty decent three-wave move. And that three-wave move is getting us back down to this zone here. So we want to see some support get built in here. And then hopefully we can start to get the hell out of there, because that's what we really need. We need a fifth wave. So I'm hoping this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. If it's not, then this is an ABC. So ABC, and then this is a 1, and this is a 2, and now we're going down into 3, and then we're going to get 4, and then 5. And if we get something like that, then we're probably going to go and break the low again. So again, we're at a big inflection point. Let's see what happens. It's not looking good so far. But one thing I did say is, let me go to the weekly here. So you could see that big wick. Now, this is the candle that really upsets me, because just yesterday it was at 60K, right? And it was looking like a very strong bullish hammer candle. Now it's looking more like a dragonfly doji, but it's still good. It's still a good candle. It's coming from this down leg. But again, what did I say? Usually when you have a big wick like this to the downside, that the following candle likes to test it 50%. So we could be going back down to 53K this week, right? And then maybe end the week flat. And then the second week, right, maybe test it a little bit again. But then ultimately, we want to get back up to here. Maybe go flat again, maybe flag out a little bit. But then ultimately, we want to get the heck out of there. So it probably will take some time, but that's kind of how I envision it happening. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. Let's look at THETA real quick. THETA has got a looks like we're on a 3. THETA has a doji candle here at the end of this 5-wave move down. So hopefully this is a good spot here. Let's look at the 4-hour. Same thing with THETA. You know, we only had a 3-wave move. So that's my big fear is this 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're dumping down for 5. That's kind of my fear here. And if that's the case, then, you know, that would be the pretty much the end, right? Because then it would be pretty much completed. If this was 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and then we get 5, we could still get 5, by the way. You can see we came up right here. We shot up, and then we had this 3-wave move. We pump up. We have another 3-wave move. Let's pump back up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we really want to see here. So we'll see if we get it. We're dumping right now pretty hard. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, that'll do it for this video. I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.